Welcome everyone to the 35th and final webinar of the MERLIN EU research project. The marathon is coming to an end, and we are very, very fortunate that Astrid Schmidt-Kloiber, who probably needs no introduction, so I will keep mine mercifully short, is going to give us a webinar today on the MERLIN Academy open access online learning platform. We'll do a walkthrough of several of the interactive modules and show how webinars, podcasts, and curated knowledge complement the learning experience. Astrid is with the hydrobiology and water management section of the BOKU University here in Vienna. The format is that we normally have a presentation for about 30 minutes, with then plenty of time for question and answers afterward. To take the pressure off Astrid, please post your questions as soon as you have them on the chat. I will collect all of them and call you in turn. And of course, at any time during the question and answer, if you have another question, we'll just keep going. So Astrid, thank you very much for taking on the big challenge of having to round everything out. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jan. Hello, everyone. Let me first try to share the screen. So I hope you can see my presentation.
We can, yes.
Yeah, thank you. So it's my pleasure after 4 years of organizing this webinar to actually give the last of them in a row. I'm a dissemination manager in the MERLIN project, and I will give you a bit of information on the MERLIN Academy. For those of you who are not familiar with MERLIN, a few facts. MERLIN is or was H2020 Green Deal project. So we started in autumn 2021 and will end our project in March 2026. We have 47 research partners from different scientific institutes, water boards, municipalities, and NGOs. MERLIN is about restoration and nature-based solutions for small streams, large rivers, peatlands, and wetlands. In MERLIN, we have 18 case studies, and these 80 case studies had around 10 million euro for practical restoration. And this also included some monitoring. And what we also did in MERLIN, we included economic sectors to better upscale restoration strategies. And the economic sectors that we choose in the project were insurance, agriculture, navigation, water supply, peat, mining, and hydropower. So here you can see a map of our case studies. As I said, they belong to 3 clusters: peatland and wetlands, small streams and basins, and large transboundary rivers. Just a few pictures that you can see what was done. Here you can see the removal of bank fixation at the River Danube, or here you have a picture of restoration of the River Emscher in Germany, rewetting peatlands in Finland, or dam removal in Spain. A few highlights of MERLIN, or what we did in the past 4 years. It was about inclusive planning and implementation. It was about effective monitoring of restoration measures. It was also about managing power constellations and actors' interests within the stakeholder community. It was, as I said, the cooperation with the economic sector and also cross-sectoral coordination, and what all this had to do with policy. And it was also about alternative funding opportunities. These are just a few highlights, and I mention them because they are also reflected in the MERLIN Academy. So what is the MERLIN Academy, and why did we create this MERLIN Academy? Very early in the project proposal writing phase, we thought of new ways to share project results. So we wanted to create something that is more openly and accessibly available and goes beyond the normal deliverables. So something new and something that allows easy uptake and what is easy to use. And at that stage, we already did an online survey and we're asking restoration managers and other stakeholders what they think about an online learning platform. And yeah, the feedback was very positive. So that's why we decided to put this into our project proposal. And the need that we found is that restoration is now, with the nature restoration regulation, also a political priority, but the practical know-how is unevenly distributed. And many people on the ground, many practitioners lack access to structures and up-to-date training. And also what we noticed is that stakeholders need flexible learning options. So we designed the MERLIN Academy as a response to these gaps, and it combines scientific excellence with real-world applications, because we also always integrated our case study results. And as I said, it should be very inclusive, maximizing the inclusivity, which also means that there should not be any course fees, because the MERLIN Academy or MERLIN is funded by taxpayers' money, so it was clear from the very beginning that there should not be any costs for these learning sources. And the audience that we tackled is for, first of all, the restoration project managers and practitioners who are implementing or who are planning restoration. Then planners and consultants, NGOs, of course, but also policy makers could profit from the MERLIN Academy. And then, as it is an online training resource, it's of course also meant for students, early career researchers. And last but not least, also the civil society that is interested in nature-based solutions could take courses in the academy. The academy consists basically of 4 main parts, and at the heart of it are the learning modules. These are expert-led, self-paced online courses where you have small videos or short videos, reading sources and other information, and also quizzes with questions so that you know in the end whether you have understood the content or not. And after finalization, there is a certificate. And the academy is structured on a learning platform, an online learning system that is called Thinkific. And then the second part of the academy is the Knowledge Center, where we have more than 220 curated resources, meaning these are scientific papers, manuals, policy tools, and you can filter them per topic, per scale, per audience, and this knowledge center is built on Opla's data platform. And then we have the webinars like this one here. So as Jan already said, there were 34 other webinars that were all recorded and are available within the academy. And you can also watch them on YouTube. And the last part are the podcasts that gave insights and stories from across Europe. These include informal interviews with restoration professionals, for example, and they are ideal for learning on the go. So, and all of this is fully open access, as I said, no payment required. And we will also, for the learning modules, feature multilingual subtitles so that we can reach a broader audience. This is a when you go to the web page, the MERLIN web page, then you have a menu item that is called Academy. And if you click on that, you will be directed to this web page here. And here you can see down here, you can see the different icons for the different parts of the Academy. And I will go through the learning modules with you in a second, but first I'll show you the other parts. So if you click on this here, you will be directed to the Knowledge Center. As I said, this is database of resources, and on the left hand side you have the opportunity to filter for specific things. So you can select, for example, you only want to see all the podcasts. You can filter for the resource scale, but you can also filter for the audience. So if you scroll down, you can see the targeted audience. So if you are an NGO, you just filter for resources that are meant for you. And once you find something that you are interested in, you can click on this Read More button, and then you will be directed to a summary of what it is. If there are external links, you will be directed there. And on the right hand side, you have additional information. And then, as I said, menu button Academy, you have a sub button for the webinars, where all the webinars are listed with the titles and the people who presented them. And the last point in this Academy menu is the MERLIN podcasts. And the latest one, the 13th podcast, is about the MERLIN Academy. Okay, and then for the learning modules, we have 3 completed modules. And the first of them went online in July 2024. This is module 3, the economics and financing of freshwater and wetland restoration. So for each of the modules, we always had module coordinators. In this case, it's Jocelyn Rouillard and Gerardo Anzaldúa. They are both from Ecologic Institute. And I have seen Gerardo is on a call. Maybe Gerardo, I would invite you to give a little bit an overview of what is the content of your module.
Sure. Thank you very much, Astrid. Hope you can hear me all right. Yeah, so my name is Gerardo Saldúa. I work at Ecologic Institute here in Berlin, and my colleague Jocelyn Roya and myself have been co-coordinating the group that has been working on the finance question of MERLIN regarding how to pay for freshwater restoration initiatives, and mostly how to upscale, or how to pay for the upscaling of such initiatives. I believe we're the first module that was published on the Academy in July last year, as Astrid already mentioned. The main idea with it is to basically, right now there is a lot of discussion about this question, how to bring in private sector engagement in terms of funding and finance into nature restoration, into tackling the biodiversity crisis, and engaging in positive nature positive economy. And so what you see there in the module that we've put together with all the colleagues in the group is basically trying to address some of those questions. How currently do restoration managers, restoration teams go about in dealing with these questions? What needs to change if we actually want to go down that path of bringing in private sector money into restoration? And what type of sort of shifts need to be happening in the thinking, in the planning, in the design of the restoration initiatives in order to make these more attractive for certain type of funding sources. Usually the funding that is used for these kind of projects or initiatives is public money, it's public grants or philanthropy. And so by widening the range of sources that we're looking at, we need to also adapt the type of offer that we're putting on the table when we're drafting a restoration plan, when we're trying to point out what the potential benefits might be, what the trade-offs might be, where compensation might be needed, how to account for all of that, and how to basically put all of that together. So our module basically consists of or puts forward the basic concepts of this more financial-oriented thinking, and sort of puts forward, introduces the methodology or the framework that we used during our project, which was built on 4 main pillars. So the first one was mainly about identifying what the right team and the right stakeholders would have to be identified or considered in order to come up with a solid strategy. The second one, looking at what the costs and benefits of the contemplated measures could be, so including a wider perspective on ecosystem service valuation. Then a third pillar on looking at what potential sources of funds, but also potential sources of revenue could be associated or unlocked by the initiative. And then a last pillar where we put all of this together to identify what the last gap between the budget needed, the sources of revenue and funds, and trying to see what is left and how it could be best covered through financing methods or financing instruments like loans, like more innovative financing instruments that we also have covered in a series of documents that we have that are called the off-the-shelf instruments. So that's a little bit what the module is about. It gives you basically the summary of all that we were trying to put together and deal with, also in close collaboration with the 18 case studies in MERLIN. And I think it does a good job at bringing sort of the topic at an entry level, but also it goes well into depth when it comes, for example, to the cost-benefit analysis, really getting hands-on, and then you have very good sort of additional pointers there to further reading and further resources in order to go a little bit further into depth. But I think for the initial entry sort of level people engaging with this, and again, this is mainly directed at restoration managers, restoration teams entering to these discussions. I think this is a good fit of content for those.
Thank you, Gerardo. So the next module then went online in December 2022, and this was module 1 about implementing and evidencing freshwater and wetland restoration. It was led by Lawrence Cavallo from NIVA and Erika Zeyer from CEH. I think both of them are not here, so I will try to give you a little bit of an overview. What is the content of this module? Basically, it is meant for environmental practitioners, for land managers and conservation parties that are working in ecology and environmental science, also for students. And it starts with understanding the latest policies. So we have videos on the Green Deal, the nature restoration regulation, and so on. And so people should understand how these latest policy guide freshwater restoration efforts. And then we have a series of videos that help with planning freshwater and wetland restoration project at the basin-wide level. And the next step is then designing and implementing monitoring. So which key factors to choose for the monitoring, for example, and also how to track progress of the implementation. And the last part is assessing the impacts of restoration on environmental and socio-economical goals. Yeah, we will dig into this a little bit later when I do the walkthrough. And the third module that is online since September this year is on stakeholder engagement and governance. And here I have the pleasure to welcome Carrie Whalen, who was one of the managers, together with Kirsty Blackstock and Tianjun Chen, all three from the James Hutton Institute. And Carrie, I'll give the floor to you to introduce your module a bit.
Hello, thanks Astrid. Yeah, so our module is about the tricky subject of people and policies and governance, and acknowledges really that when we're trying to do nature restoration, it's actually a social process. But many of us who come to work in these situations, maybe leading a team or trying to initiate a project, we maybe don't actually have a great deal of training in this and some of the aspects of how to go about working with others and other groups. Many actually have backgrounds which are super important, such as in the natural sciences or hydrology or such like. But that doesn't mean that we're necessarily well equipped to deal with all the other things that a project entails. So in this module, we really kind of unpack some of the terms that you sometimes might hear, like stakeholders, stakeholder analysis. We try and demystify some of these terms, explain why they matter, why they're worthy of a bit of reflection in their own right, and then give you some tools and some examples as well to kind of show what it means to really kind of engage a bit more deeply with these issues. Because really we can't achieve upscaled nature restoration if we just have traditional environmental groups involved in that doing nature restoration. Inevitably, we need to engage with other groups in society. And of course, this relates a bit to what Gerardo was just talking about. Ideally, of course, the more we engage with other groups, the more that they will lend their support and even their resources to nature restoration as well. So these are, of course, interconnected modules. But in this one, we talk about how to identify who you might like to work with, who your project is going to interact with somehow, then even some tools for how to work with them or how to identify what level of engagement you want with them. And also the need to think about connecting a project with other policies, because that might help to unlock resources or avoid or at least anticipate some barriers if you need permits or there might be some obstruction from a particular policy area. So that hopefully gives you some sense of the kind of topics we cover. And if you read this and you listen to the videos, and by the end of it, you sit there and you feel really, actually, you know what, this is so obvious, then we've done our job really well. So that's what we're hoping, that we explain things in a kind of slow way that actually kind of just helps you feel a bit more comfortable and confident. But we also acknowledge this isn't always an easy topic. By working with more groups, we can encounter or reveal more conflicts or disagreements. So we also give you some resources for further reading or further support if you find yourself in a particular situation or a desire to know more about any of these subjects. So I think that's enough for me.
Thanks, Clary. Thanks a lot for introducing your module. So what is next? There will be a module 4 that should be ready by the beginning of 2026. It is led by Annette Bartrup-Pedersen from Aarhus University. I don't know whether, Annette, are you on the call? I think I haven't seen her. So this module will basically be about catchment scale modeling. So there was a tool that was developed within MERLIN, and this tool will be explained in this module. It is addressing stakeholders at the EU level, and it's also addressing financial and national local authorities interested in implementing the MERLIN workflow into restoration planning. So hopefully we will be there at the beginning of 2026. And then because we recognize that there is a need or the desire to hear more about our case studies, we decided to have a 5th module that was not initially planned, but this 5th module summarizes the MERLIN case studies. So stories from the field with all the challenges and opportunities that arose within these case studies. Okay, and with that, I want to take you on a short walk through the learning modules. I will now, no. So can you see the MERLIN Academy starting screen now?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you. So when you enter the MERLIN Academy learning modules, you end up at this introduction site where you can find a little bit of information, the latest news on the learning modules. And then if you scroll further down, you can see these 4 boxes with the different courses, modules. And then further down a little bit of information how to access these modules. And then we have also some reviews here and further information. So if you now are interested, for example, in module 1, you just click on this box and you will be directed to another another site where you basically can see the overview of this module. So first of all, you can see the learning outcomes of these modules. Then if you scroll further down, there is always an introduction video for each of the modules. We have one intro video. And then on the left-hand side here, you can see the module curriculum. And if you click on these little triangles, you will see what is actually, or what actually awaits you. So we have subdivided our modules in submodules. And for example, here in the submodule 1 is 1.1 is the policy context. And on the left-hand side, you can see what kind of resources await you. So it starts with an overview text, and then you have 3 videos on the Green Deal, the restoration law, and on nature-based solutions. And then we always have this test your knowledge section where you can see quizzes and also try to answer the questions. If you then, so the summary of the module can be seen here. There are 62 lessons and more than 1.5 hours of video content. If you scroll further down, then you can see all the instructors of this module. So all the people who contributed their expertise to this module. If you now say, okay, this really interests me, I want to learn more, then you need to enroll for this module. This means up to now everything was visible for everyone, but as soon as you want to really go into the learning system, you have to register yourself and then enroll for the course. So this registration is done here on the top right, and the enrollment to the course can be done here. So if you first if you first come to the site, it will say enroll, and then you click on enroll, and you will be directed in the learning environment of the module. And here on the left-hand side, you can see your track and or your timeline or progress tracker. So you have here a summary on how many percents you have already done in your course. So I have already watched 90% of the course. And here on the left-hand side, you can also again see the different submodules. You can see the different parts of the submodules, and you can see how many of these parts you have already addressed. So for example, for the introduction, there is the text over here, and then there is the introduction video, and then there is a figure. And once you have completed everything, these tiny little circles will be full with color, and you have this check thingy, so you know that you have seen everything or also read everything. So let us now
ecology and hydrology.
So,
and I work in the...
Can anyone let me know if you hear the text, the voice of Erica?
Yeah, it's audible.
Yep.
Hello, my name is Erica, and I'm an environmental data scientist at the UK Centre for Ecology and Hydrology. And I work in the Freshwater Restoration and Sustainability Group in Edinburgh, Scotland. I am the manager of the MERLIN Academy Module 1, titled Implementing and Evidencing Freshwater and Wetland Restoration. Monitoring freshwater and wetland restoration is essential for effectively scaling up nature-based solutions across Europe and providing the evidence to support transformation in society and industries. In this module, you will learn about the philosophy of nature-based solutions and the concept of holistic restoration planning, monitoring and evaluation. The module is divided into 7 sub-modules: policy context, restoration planning, monitoring restoration, monitoring impact, environmental criteria, social criteria, and economic sectors criteria. In the policy context sub-module, you will learn about the concept of nature-based solutions and explore the EU Nature Restoration Law, as well as the European Green Deal. In the restoration planning sub-module, you will delve into river basin management planning and explore recommendations for national and upscaled implementation of restoration measures. You will then move on to the monitoring restoration sub-module, which will guide you through the theory of change strategic framework, explain how to set smart targets, how to use the IUCN online self-assessment tool, and how to monitor the implementation of nature-based solutions. In the monitoring impact sub-module, you will learn about how context can influence the scope and feasibility of restoration projects. You will also learn about benchmarking impact and the before-after control intervention or BOKU monitoring design, and how this all ties into the EU Green Deal criteria. The environmental criteria submodule will illustrate how to measure the impacts of restoration on biodiversity, river connectivity, pollution, and climate regulation and resilience. In the social criteria submodule, you will learn about monitoring inclusive participation and governance, and evaluating the impacts of nature restoration on health and well-being. And finally, you will delve into the economic sectors criteria, which will explain more about how to monitor the success of water restoration measures with respect to aspects of the circular economy, green growth, sustainable transport and energy, and the agricultural sector. The module is taught by experts in the field of nature restoration. Each video features a further reading list with additional resources, and each sub-module comes with a quiz that you can use to test your understanding. So I want to welcome you to the first module of the MERLIN Academy, and I hope this learning will be useful in your restoration projects. So enjoy the videos and thanks for listening.
Okay, this is basically how our videos look like, and now you also got an introduction and a proper introduction to module 1. Yeah, when you are done with when all the circles are full here, you are done with your module, and then you will get a certification. So this is where I go back to my PowerPoint. So in the end, you get this certificate of achievement that you have finalized the module. So what are our MERLIN Academy achievements? As I said, we have 3 comprehensive learning modules that are completed. We have more than 330 something registered users across Europe and beyond. And they come from practitioner grounds. They are NGOs, but we have also students and planners that have signed up for the Academy. And we can see a growing visibility through social media, through also our podcast, and hopefully also through this webinar, conferences and partner networks. But of course, there were also a row of challenges where, during developing this academy, and it starts basically with the scientist's comfort zone and time. So it was not always easy, or we had to get some of the scientists out of their comfort zones because they are not used to speak in front of cameras. And we also asked them to do it several times, sometimes because of quality issues. So this was really motivating all the scientists to deliver videos was sometimes a challenge, yes. And then what we also notice is, or what users tell us, that there is a lack of interactivity. So we have no forums on the Academy. And we also do not offer live question and answer sessions, and also we have no platform for the community to talk to each other. Then for now the courses are in English only, but this is something we are about to change. So if you look at this video from Kirsty, watch out, if as soon as you see these 2cc over here, then you will get a choice of different subtitles. So we plan to have all the modules, all the videos in German, Spanish and French, additional to the English. And what I consider the most critical challenge is the finalization rate of the modules. So some of our, or many of our users do not finalize their modules. So when they register, they watch some of the videos, but they do not go entirely to the end. And this is something we certainly need to work on, send them reminders. So we started to ask them, why did you not finalize your module? And the answer that most often came was either they forgot to return to the course or time constraints. And this is why I consider it very important that we have a learning environment that can adapt actually to their timeline. And there might be greater visibility and brand power from competing platforms like Coursera or LinkedIn. And of course, we also need to think about post-project options, and I come to this in a second. So the future. The Academy was always designed to live on. It is built on Thinkific. This is a stable, low-cost platform that ensures long-term access. And we decided to pay for this access also after the project's end, so that the Academy content does not get lost. And it was also always the idea to expand the Academy to other EU projects or national projects. Currently, we are developing a module with ECO Advanced, so that some of their project results will be in one module on the Academy. And we are also in contact with Dam Removal Europe for designing a module. And these modules, they will clearly be branded as Eco Advance or Dam Removal, so that everyone sees at the first sight this is not MERLIN content, but and also create visibility to these other projects. And what's coming next? As I said, there will be Module 5 and Module 5, Module 4 and Module 5. And we will continuously update the information in the Knowledge Center, at least until the project's end. And for the learning modules, we have also worked out a sustainability plan to support future content development. But here we have already the good news. There is another project coming along. This project is called Flood Drain and is funded by Biodiversa Plus. And this will develop another set of modules in terms of freshwater restoration. And with that, I want to come to the big thank you slide. So first of all, I want to thank Gerardo and Kerry for being here today. But then, of course, I want to thank all these colleagues who contributed their knowledge and their time. I think this is really unique for the MERLIN Academy, that this is not artificial intelligence content. This is real content from experts. They are working in their field and they are presenting what their everyday work. So they really are knowledgeable persons that bring across their, they bring across the content. And of course, I also want to thank Josie, because she, without her, these videos would not be so shiny and the Academy would not be so high quality. So thanks, Josie, for your work.
Thank you.
And, with that, I want to thank you for your attention. You can see the 4 modules and the QR codes here. So I'll leave this for a second and I'm happy to take any questions.
So thank you very much, Astrid. In our 35 webinar history, there are a few examples of webinars that were so brilliantly clear. Not a single question was generated. So people at this point might consider if there's any question they'd like to raise at the moment. I might take, if I see no question, my prerogative as moderator to pose a question to Carrie Whalen when we talk about education for stakeholder engagement. There is a long history of doing this in what is known as integrated water resource management as well as adaptive management. And I wondered if those traditions are in any way were employed in your module.
That's as usual a great question. Actually, we reference literature that comes not just from water. I mean, some of the ideas come from conflict resolution that are nothing to do with water or even necessarily nature and the environment. So there's a lot of shared principles and experience to build on. Professionals who make their living as facilitators, for example, they have contributed to some of the ideas we draw on. But yes, as your question implies, for sure, we don't mean to imply that nobody has ever encountered these ideas before. And we know that, especially in the water environment, which obviously everything's interconnected and dynamic, and we know that in some catchments and cases, people have got their own expertise about going about connecting people and groups, not just thinking about different issues in the environment.
Well, I would try to provoke a little, hoping that someone else might jump in. So far, Astrid's presentation has flattened the landscape and everyone is staring here in silence. But it has really been quite some time, years of effort by many, many people. So it's a little sadness to bring this webinar to a final close. Perhaps I should leave it to Jörg to give some final comments. And I want to say it's been a pleasure to moderate, and I hope I'll run into you sometime soon.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being here and joining us for this final and last webinar. It was quite an interesting time, 35 webinars, a lot of people, a lot of nice topics, lots of questions, and yeah, hope to see you soon somewhere. Thanks for being here.
I'm sorry, but someone has just generated a question.
Oh, yeah.
Joshua Reut has asked, is there a list of modules that people thought could be important for practitioners that could not be produced? A gap analysis of learning needs for increased restoration. I guess that goes to Astrid.
Hi, Josh. No, we do not have an actual list, but we, of course, try to do a gap analysis before we propose the next project, so this flood drain project. And we have an idea, but we will certainly start this project with a really detailed gap analysis. But the nature restoration regulation for sure is one thing that people would want to have addressed in different aspects.
Now a question has come in from Kirk Enu. I know at least a couple of PhD students who reference the MERLIN webinars as being greatly helpful, especially at the beginning of their studies. So kudos to you and your team. I'm curious to know, are there any statistics on the percentage of academics versus practitioners participating in the webinars or even the learning modules?
For the learning modules, we are not asking where people come from. We can only guess this from the email addresses. So I can really give no estimate on here. But Jörg, can you say something for the webinars?
No, I can't, because we do not track this information. We're just general information. So.
Okay, sorry, but we cannot help with that.
Can I just jump in to say I had a message from someone connected with the IUCN Global Standard the other day who had been watching the webinar I gave early in the project and I'd forgotten about. And they sent a message, oh, I've just been watching this on YouTube, and followed it with questions. So clearly some people are engaging with it in YouTube, which is a nice legacy for the project, I think.
Yeah, cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Hand raised. Phyllis has raised her hand.
We did a webinar as part of Eco Advance, and as part of that, we analyzed what we thought the participation might be and found about 21% based on a variety of correlated LinkedIn and other data were from professionals or students with less than 5 years experience. So that was some data that we got that was of interest to us.
Cool, thank you. Any further questions?
No more raised hands.
But then let me take the opportunity also to thank you, Jan, for your moderation. It was really a pleasure working with you, and I hope we can continue our collaboration, maybe produce more webinars in the future.
I'm here in Vienna. You know where to find me. I have one provocative question for Gerardo Ansaldúa, and that is, if you're in Berlin with a name like your surname, no one ever asked you, since you're concentrating on finance, no one ever asked you about an Anzahlung?
That is truly provocative, Jan. Not yet. You're the first one.
Okay. Well, maybe we should keep it secret. All right. Don't let that out. The Berliners will never let you forget it. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure. And I'm sorry I will miss your March concluding meeting. So I wish you an excellent meeting. I unfortunately have to visit my grandkids, so I will be missing them.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you all. This has been a great series. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.